Prayer has been the very foundation of my relationship with Christ. It is, it's really, it's everything. I mean, everything else really is, extra in essence. I mean, in a way, you know, if discipleship of Christ, being a disciple of Christ is learning how to be his follower, right? Learning how to be in relationship with him, and then again in relationship with the world. That we can't do that without prayer. Prayer is where we meet Jesus. It's where we get to know him. It is where we get to know ourselves in return. He reflects who we are to ourselves, where we are given his will, to kind of go forth and to live in this world. So I think for me, it has been everything from the minute I kind of met the Lord until now. It has been my daily sustenance. My name is Stefanos. I live here in Dallas, Texas with my husband and two very small children. I have, yes, always been Catholic. I was raised in a Catholic home, Catholic family. My sisters and I joke that my mother missed her calling to the convent. Therefore, she kind of made us kind of grow up in a little bit of a convent, mini convent. But we tease her. She is, a woman very much in love with her faith and with the Lord. And she did her best to kind of pass that on to us. So up until I was 16, went to mass every Sunday, but we didn't do a lot of the personal aspect. I think I was raised Catholic, but, I was still had very foundational doubts about everything. And I was, rebelling as well and all of that. But when I turned 16, I was actually invited by my mother on a retreat, a very charismatic, very foundational Christian retreat. And that's where I asked God a very basic question. Probably the first time, my most genuine prayer I've ever, my first genuine prayer, which was, God, do you exist? If you're there, will you show me that you're real? And he did in a very powerful way. I had an experience, I felt flooded with his love and his presence. And I knew that this is real, that everything I've heard kind of my whole life, that I've experienced in a very tangible way. So now, of course, looking back, I see kind of how God's hand has was with me, from infancy, from my baptism, being raised in the home and the family I was raised in, and those roots being, being formed, the seeds being planted. But I think that moment was very important in that I woke up to it. I kind of turned to the Lord and said, are you there? Is this all true? And the Lord said, yes, yes, I'm here. Finally, pay attention to me. And so that's kind of when I would say my consciousness to our relationship kind of woke up. My prayer life looks very different now that I have a 2-year-old and a 10-month-year-old. I'm in a different season of my life. It is extremely full, and it's joyful, absolutely. But it is very different, than a very beautiful season of when I was single and I had a lot of time on my hands and I prayed for an hour every morning and again before I went to sleep, and it was just this beautiful season where I was really able to put the Lord first in prayer in a very in my time, I gave him a big part of my day. And in this season of my life, I find that if I can have 15 minutes in the morning of of just focused time with the Lord, then I'm doing really good. And then, in the evening is when we have our prayer time as a family, and it's a time for us to do kind of external prayer together as a family, to vocalize our praise of God, or whatever we are asking him for, to sing together, that kind of stuff. And if we can throughout the day, we'll try to fit in a rosary or a decade, things like that. We love to try to pull our children in when we can. Again, they're very young. That's my prayer life these days. And this has been hard. I was talking to my spiritual director not too long ago, because I was like, this is so hard. I think part of me still wants to, grasp at this past life I had when it comes to prayer. And I feel like when I'm being really honest that the Lord is not calling me to do that. He's not asking me to kind of grasp at something that happened. He's asking me to live in the present moment and to allow my life to be a prayer, to allow everything I do for my children, whether it is with them, whether it is doing something for them, cooking for them, cleaning for them, working, whatever it is, to allow all the rest of that to be a prayer. But to still fight for that time, that daily time of just being with the Lord, because that has been so instrumental to my relationship with God, but realizing that God can do glorious things in just the little that I can give him. Oftentimes we complicate prayer so much. One of the best advice I ever heard about prayer: keep it simple, keep it honest, and keep it going. Sharing my own experience with them and just encouraging them to do it. But you don't start with trying to do too much or trying to reach for the stars. You start with what you can. If that's encouraging them to start with just 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day. If they are in the very beginning stages of prayer, just encouraging them to start with just very basic, vocal prayers, just encouraging them to reach out and talk with God, however that looks for them at that moment. And so trying to help to understand where they're at with, in their relationship, in their walk with God, and in that, in their relationship with prayer, and then encouraging them to just keep it going. I think the first thing that pops to my mind is, the day that the doctor called and informed me that our child was very possibly going to have Down syndrome, which he does have. I came home and I had to tell that news to my husband, and I did, and we both cried in each other's arms. And when we were done with that, I looked at him and I said, "Do we go to adoration?" And he said, "Yeah, let's go." We went to Prince of Peace Parish, their adoration chapel. We just sat for the next hour before the Lord, exposed in the Blessed Sacrament. And we we didn't say anything. We didn't do a rosary. We didn't, we just sat before the Lord and we just allowed him to minister to our hearts. And we both had a very powerful experience. We left that chapel and we both just looked at each other and we said, "We'll be fine. This is going to be great." And, I don't want to make light of it. I mean, it was a very pivotal moment in our journey, where the Lord really revealed to both of us separately, really, that things were going to be okay, that he was with us, that this baby that was growing in my womb was a blessing, and that we were to be filled with joy, just like Elizabeth was at the visitation, that we were to be filled with joy and to be fearless. And so that grace has been, with us still to this day. He's a very healthy 2-year-old boy who is running around and, most days, giving us a run for our money. And we could not, imagine life without him. He is a joy to everyone he meets.